paycheck. And my rent was overdue. I'd gone through rehab on credit. I had. I did. I'd gone through it. It took me... Boy, did they ever take a chance. But it took me 7 years after I went through rehab to pay off my bills. 7 years. And 80% of that was bar tabs. They just... So I'm not tempted by lottery or gambling. I'm not tempted by that. I played Russian roulette with my life in the 80s. I'm done. Occasionally I drank milk past its sell-by date, but that's it. I've never played the lottery. Mark Twain said that the lottery was a tax on stupidity. He didn't really say that, but I'm just making it up. And if you say Mark Twain said it, everybody goes, oh. But he never said it. He might have said it, I don't know, I never researched it. Google it, I don't care. Find out. But what he never said anything about the Super Lotto Plus, though. Mark Twain, if the Super Lotto Plus was around at the time of Mark Twain, he'd have said, hey, go ahead. You got to be in it to win it. That's what he'd have said. I don't know. Look, the lottery, what I'm saying, the lottery, it's a long shot, but, you know, remember that time, there was a time the Illinois state lottery, I don't know if it was a state lottery, but there was a lottery in Illinois, they found out it was rigged. Because when they were calling the balls down, 2 of the balls were heavier than the other balls. And I have exactly the same problem. I admit it, it's a medical condition. I have heavy balls, I do. And if you have heavy balls, you need a rig. You need something to be rigged. You know, scaffolding or something, you know. I don't know. A roller skate, something like that, you know. Anyway, listen, if I did win the lottery, I'm sure I would hear from the distant, obscure, quasi-relatives. Now, that's what these guys are going to be hearing from. You know, the people that, you know, like... I would hear, my ex-wife, I'm sure, I would hear from her, you know, and, well, I do hear from her, it's true. And I haven't got any money. Look around you, 12:30 in CBS, come on. I don't think, though, if I won all that money, I don't think I'd go crazy. I'd put it in the bank, I'd buy real estate or something. I wouldn't go all blingy. I might build a lab in my basement. You know, to try and harness the power of electricity to give life to inanimate objects. It's just a thing I would like to try. My first subject, Bob Barker. I'd bring him to life. I'd bring him to life. Oh, it's alive. Spay and neuter your pets. We used to have, when I grew up in Britain, we used to have, the equivalent of the lottery there was the football pools, like soccer pools. You know, where the people would guess on the football results. And every Saturday, they'd read the results, like 100 games, out on TV every Saturday at 5 o'clock. But the guy that read them out wasn't American. It wasn't like, coming up the sports, wah! Like that. It was like, you know, it was a guy who said, and now the sports results. And they would tell you the results of the soccer matches, you know. Fulham 1, Chelsea 2. And you could always tell... Even though he was trying to be very quiet, you could tell who you know, what team he supported. He'd be like, Fulham 1, Chelsea 2. Liverpool 2, Manchester 3. In your face, you Liverpool bastard. He doesn't do it anymore, though. He won the pools. That's what happened, yeah. Liverpool 2, Manchester 3. Oh, God, I've won. I'm out of here. So long, suckers. That didn't happen. I made it up like Mark Twain. Hey, you've got to be careful about, you know, sudden wealth. That's what I mean when I'm talking about these people winning the lottery. You hear about people, they get this sudden wealth and their lives go crazy. You know, you know, when people get wealth thrust upon them, not used to it. There was a hero of mine when I was growing up was a soccer player called George Best, who was a fantastic player, and it was around about the time of the Beatles. He was very handsome and he was an amazing talent, maybe one of the best soccer players who ever lived. And he was always getting drunk. They say he ruined his career. He got drunk. He lived the high life. He was always in the tabloids. Everyone was very sad because, you know, he died just recently. He'd ruined his career and stuff. And he used to tell this story about, you know, gambling. That he had been at a casino in Ireland. He had just married Miss World. a Scandinavian beauty queen, and he'd been at a casino in Ireland and he'd won thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And so he'd, gotten drunk with his new wife, Miss World, and they went to the penthouse suite and they took all their clothes off and they threw the money all over the bed and they were lying on it naked and stuff. And it gets bad. And they were lying on it. They were lying on the money naked, and they ran out of champagne, so George called to the porter in the Irish casino and he said, bring up another magnum of champagne. So the porter come up and, he brings a magnum of champagne at 4 o'clock in the morning, and George opens the door and he sees George standing there in the bathrobe. It's George Best, the greatest footballer in the world, and he sees George there, and then he looks and he sees Miss World lying on the bed, naked, on the money. And he looks back at George and then back at Miss World and he says, George, where did it all go wrong?
Worldwide Pants.